He's the soapstone guy. He's an Iraqi immigrant, dropped out of high school. He knows everything about soapstone. He made 1.3 million pounds last year.
What would you do if one of your sons said to you, I would love to be a professional actor, and then your other son came to you and said, I want to be a musician?
I don't want to crush anybody's dreams. Go for it. I'll be supportive. But this industry, let's just look at the economics. Musician and acting has a 99% unemployment rate. So you got to be in the 1%. And I want you to set up benchmarks for determining what it means to be in the top 1%. The most talented actors in the world are in a union called SAG-AFTRA. That means you're one of the 180,000 most talented creatives in the world. Last year, 83% of them didn't have health insurance because they didn't make more than $23,000. So you not only need to be in the top 17% just to have health insurance, you probably need to be in the top 10%, realistically the top 1%. I know a lot of working actors. If I said, this is the guy from this show, you'd be like, oh my God, that guy's amazing. He's not making a lot of money. Here's the thing. Young people oftentimes mistake their hobbies for their passions. And what I would suggest is, and what I can guarantee you, is being successful at anything, passion comes from mastery. Mastery comes from being a ninja at something. I'm renovating a house, and there's this guy installing our soapstone, who's the soapstone guy. He's an Iraqi immigrant, dropped out of high school. He knows everything about soapstone. He can talk to you about the vein in the soapstone and which quarries. And I've been very open with him. I've talked about my book. He made 1.3 million pounds last year. He's the soapstone guy. I can't imagine when he was a kid, he and I bonded over football. I would bet, I don't know this, I would bet he dreamt of being a football star and playing for Iraq in the World Cup at some point. I doubt at the age of 17 he thought, I'm hoping in 15 years I'm installing soapstone and renovations for American douchebags in Marylebone. I can't imagine that was his dream. But here's the thing, he has an amazing life. He takes care of his kids. He takes care of his parents. He gets to take amazing vacations with his wife, which makes him passionate about soapstone. So yeah, go be a fashion designer. But let's be honest, if you're not making enough money to pay your rent within 2 years, and you're not making enough money to, say, form a family in 5 years, we're going to workshop something else. When you get a little bit older, don't go all in on anything. Don't get seduced into the worst thing that can happen in your 30s and 40s is you start a business and you start failing slowly. You just don't know. The worst type of business is one that gives you just enough green signals that you keep investing more time and more money. That's the worst thing that can happen to somebody because it failed slowly. It failed over 11 years. I started an e-commerce incubator in New York, backed by Goldman Sachs, Maveron, JP Morgan. It was out of business in 8 months because of the dot-com meltdown. That's a blessing. The best thing that can happen is success. The second best thing is fast failure. The worst thing that can happen to you is slow failure. You can't have slow failure in your 30s and 40s. So you want to make sure that if you go in on something, you ring fence it. I'm leaving my job. I'm going to try and start my own business. I'm going to spend 2 years doing it, a certain amount of capital, no more than maybe 10, 20% of my capital, because hitting a wall and failing at 50 is much more devastating than hitting a wall or failing at 25 or 30.